Hey, how's it going, YouTubers? Hoping everyone is staying safe during these trial times with this pandemic of the COVID-19 crisis. Hard to believe we're already on 8 months of this crap. I'm personally sick of it. I'm sure everyone else is too, especially with the face mask and the hand sanitizer and the gloves and 6 feet apart and yada yada yada. Anyways, getting off topic. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Arizona Coyotes in the upcoming 2020/2021 season, but let's be realistic, it's just a 2021 season because there is no hockey being played now, and we're already in December, and I'm not even sure when training camps are going to be opening, if they're even opening soon or not. The NHL initially wanted to go for a January 1st date to start the season, but now they're up in the air. They're not sure how it's going to work. And I personally am not understanding how an all Canadian division, sorry, this is a spoiler alert, is going to work out, especially when the playoffs do start. Because my only thought was, what happens if there's a Canadian team that has the same amount of points as a team from the States and they didn't play each other? How are the standings going to work? It's very confusing. Anyways, as I said, I'm going to go over the Coyotes, and they didn't make a huge splash in free agency like the Buffaloes or I guess the Habs or the Leafs, whatever the case may be is. But I mean, I do believe they have a good enough team to compete, to say the least. Starting with their captain, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, under contract for 7 more years. 7 more years with Ekman-Larsson, and the kid's only 29 years old, so he's obviously going to be basically retiring by the time of his end of his contract. Very good defenseman. I know there were talks about possibly get him getting traded in the offseason, but I mean, if they got rid of him, I mean, they'd be rebuilding it all over again. Nicholas Jarmerson, I think he's been with the Coyotes for 3 or 4 years. What I find interesting with the Coyotes is that it seems like whenever Chicago either gets tired of players or they're not being as productive or they just want out, whatever the case may be, is Arizona's just like, hold up, I'll take them. Because I guarantee there could be a long list of players that either left Chicago or signed as free agents in Arizona or basically just got traded to Arizona. So it's like the Arizona Blackhawks. This is an injury-plagued season for Ekman-Larsson. Only registered 5 points in 27 games. I mean, he's not a big point production defenseman. He's more of a defensive defenseman. So, and he's not going to be putting up 30, 40, 50 points a season. But still, a very good veteran player who won, I think, two cups? Three cups with Chicago. 3 times Stanley Cup champion. That's hard to believe. But yeah, he's entering three or four of his contract. And speaking of contract, this is his last contract. He'll be 34 by the time he's a free agent, I do believe. So how next offseason is going to work, or maybe if they play poorly enough, he could be possibly traded away to a Stanley Cup contender. But only time will tell. I mean, the season hasn't even started yet, so let's not jump the gun just yet. Next up is Phil Kessel. What can you really say about Phil Kessel? I mean, started off in Boston, got traded to Toronto, didn't play that great, couldn't make the playoffs, and then ironically, he gets traded in 2015 to the Penguins, wins 2 Stanley Cups back to back, and yeah, I mean, he was a winner in Pittsburgh. Can he bring that formula to Arizona and help them compete for a playoff spot? Last year, he played 70 games, and that was his lowest total of 38 points. I want to say ever. Oh, sorry, since his 2007/2008 season, where he only scored 37 points. But that was 12 years ago. Still, he was just a pup then. But I think that age is starting to catch up to Kessel and injuries, just like a lot of players. So, will there be there's obviously not going to be a full season, but how much production can you expect of Phil Kessel on a shortened season? Only time will tell. Clayton Keller, good young kid. 8 years on his contract left, and he's only 22 years of age. Maybe he's 23. I'm not sure what his birthday is. But guaranteed to get at least, I want to say at least minimum 25 points a season. This will be year 5 of his contract. So this will be year 5 of his career, sorry. And this past season, due to the cutoff, he finished with 44 points. Now that was his, I guess you could say, his lowest so far, because in 2016-2017 season only played 3 games for the Arizona Coyotes. So he could easily be a 50-point guy. There's no question, no doubt in my mind. And but with a shortened season, I don't see that. Especially if they only do like 40 some odd games or 50 some odd games, being pretty damn impossible to reach that feat. Another former Blackhawk. I feel like I'm going to be going and saying former Blackhawks more often than not. And let's take a look at his stats. Last year, 45 points. Pretty damn good. I mean, it's just under a point a game, or just over a point a game. Just under a point a game. Sorry, my math is odd. No, that's just over a point a game, because half of that would be 35. So, I mean, 11 goals, 34 assists, that's pretty damn good. Alex Golgowski, ironically not a former Blackhawk, but a former Star. And he will be entering year 5 with Arizona Coyotes. His points, as you can see, is guaranteed at least 30 points a season, minus the 2018-2019 season when he only finished with 27 points. But I mean, he's a good top 4 forward, good top 4 defenseman. I apologize, to have in your lineup, and a good veteran leader. Christian Dvorak, 24 years of age, 5 years left on his contract at $4.45 million. And he is guaranteed to give you... Oh, I'm sorry, I clicked on the wrong button. As you can tell, I'm using NHL 21, so courtesy of EA Sports, I'm able to do these previews with them. Christian Dvorak. Let's try this one last time. Finished with 38 points in 70 games. It was his highest so far. And the kid's only 24 years old. I have a hard time being able to tell when players are coming into their prime or out of their prime, whatever the case may be, is because we've been proven wrong many times, whether you're an analyst or a fan, whatever the case may be, is that some guy could look like a dud and be a stud, and vice versa. So, but I don't think Christian Dvorak's going to be a dud. I think he's going to be a very good forward going forward. Just like Jomerson, without the 3 Stanley Cups, is just a good veteran player to have on your team. Can definitely get in, fill into that second slot center role, in my personal opinion. Now, I mean, they could put him anywhere they want in the lineup, whether it's a 3rd line, 4th line, but I think 4th line would be kind of like a slap on the face, to tell you the truth. This past season was actually his lowest total of points in 28, with 28, and I mean, the guy's only 31 years old. I can't knock him and say, oh, old age is catching up to him, or whatever the case may be is. But aside from the past 2 seasons, he was guaranteed to give you 50 points, and that's pretty damn good for a centerman. Yeah, like I have nothing against the guy. He seems like a decent player. Forgive me if I'm not pronouncing this correctly, but Jakob Chychrun, defenseman, who's guaranteed, minus the 2017-2018 season when he only had finished with 14 points in 50 games. Guaranteed to give over 20 points a season, so he could be easily top 4, top 6 defenseman. A former Star, if I'm not mistaken, back in 2016. Wow, 4 years ago already? Holy Toledo. He's entering year 4 with Arizona Coyotes. Definitely a good top 4 defenseman in the lineup. Good leader, or good veteran, I guess you could say. And he's actually coming up on his last year of his contract. So again, just like a lot of players, whether you can stay healthy and be consistent, whatever the case may be, is the guy's 32 years old. I don't think he's going to be making, unless he has like an absolutely crazy season in the shortened season that we will be having this upcoming year. I don't think he's going to be making like top dollar for a defenseman, as he is 32 years old. And again, might be just kind of slowing down a little bit. Who knows? But a good veteran guy to have on your team, that's for sure. Connor Garland, 24 years of age, on his rookie contract, $775,000. Let's take a look at his stats real quick. 39 points was his most of his career thus far. And if he can possibly get that again in the shortened season that's coming up, he could be in for a decent pay, that's for sure, in the 2021 offseason. Just my opinion. Christian Fischer. Guy's kind of like inconsistent, to say the least. In 56 games this past season, he finished with a total of only 9 points. The season before, he doubled that with 18. In 2018, that he had 33 points. And that was his highest total thus far of his young NHL career. So, I think he's more like a top 9 forward, in my personal opinion. I don't think he's going to be giving you like consistent 20 plus goals or 40 to 50 points a season. I just think he's more like a top 9 forward, just in my personal opinion. Young kid, 20 years old. He's got 2 years left at $895,000. Does he have much for stats? Oh, I hit on the edit. I'm so sorry. But I will give the Coyotes credit. I'm not sure how well you're going to be able to see this, but I am really digging these uniforms here. My brightness on my TV, I had to turn down low, so if it appears dark, there's a reason for it. I've tried recording. This is probably my 4th time trying to record this video, and it hasn't been easy because there's just a certain brightness right around here, and it just makes the whole screen go blurry. So I do apologize ahead of time if you cannot see it very clearly, but I do like these uniforms. I like to see them bring the away one back, their old one, I guess. Be nice to see. Getting back on track, hopefully. Hopefully there's no more hiccups. Let's take a look at the stats. Basically rookie season, you could say. In 20 games, he only finished with 4 points, 1 goal, and 3 assists. Still has some growing to do, that's for sure. Where he's going to fit in the lineup is obviously going to depend on other players and injuries and training camp, etc. But I could see him being a top 6 forward in the next X amount of years. Ilya Lyubushkin. He's only had 2 seasons thus far and a total of 8 points. So I'd definitely say he's more of a bottom 6 guy for or bottom pairing guy, sorry, for the defensive game. Tyler Pitlick, the former Flyer who just came off sorry about that. Tyler Pitlick just came off a season with the Philadelphia Flyers. In 63 games, he finished with 8 goals, 12 assists for 20 points. And did he have much production in the playoffs? 16 games played, only 2 goals and assists. So not a guy you're going to have in your top 6, that's for sure. Definitely more of a bottom 6 guy, maybe a top on the third pairing, you could almost say, on the right-hand side, or if he plays in the center. And as I've said in any of my videos, the one thing I kind of find kind of neat about this game is that a lot of these players are just going to say like center/left wing or center/right wing, because I feel that nowadays players have to be able to take face-offs because centers get kicked out of the center ice face-off more often than not. So I feel like it's just something you have to learn, whereas like back in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, if you were a center, that was your main job, just focusing on that, and then you had your right winger and left winger. Lawson Crouse, top 9 forward. He's had some decent numbers over his young career thus far. In In 2016-2017, he had 12 points, and 2018 only played 11 games with 1 goal. 2018-2019, he almost had a full season with 81 games with 25 points. And this past season, only in 66 games, he had 25 points. So had the NHL not been on pause, he obviously would have most likely broken that record and had crazy career highs. So I would say as long as he can stay healthy and consistent, I could see him being between a 30 to 40 points goal scorer or point production forward. That's for damn sure. But in the shortened season, you'd be lucky to get 25 points, not in my opinion, because it's just going to be so tight of a schedule. Take a look at what else they got. Johan Larsson. I want to say they brought him over from Buffalo. They did too. Definitely more of a bottom six guy. Most likely, probably potentially going to be their bottom six or their fourth line center, I would dare say. 18 points last season, 62 games. Again, he's not going to be someone that's going to be popping out with crazy stats, but he could be very helpful at the center role, left wing, wherever they decide to play him. Jordan Oesterle, the former Penguin, if I'm not mistaken. Nope, that's somebody else I was thinking of. Sorry, former Blackhawk. He's going to be going into his third season with the Arizona Coyotes. He finished with 13 points this past season in 58 games, and he had 20 points in 2018-2019, and in 71 appearances on the ice. I think he's going to be more of like a bottom pairing defenseman. Again, his stats don't really jump out at you, but it could be a good extra player, I guess. I'm so sorry about this. I really don't have an excuse why I can't speak properly. John Hayden brought him over from Jersey, I do believe. And I feel like I'm just saying the same thing over and over again. They're like bottom six forwards. Maybe he's can do well on face-offs if Larson, and the other gentleman I just mentioned, is having an off night or gets hurt. Again, he's not going to be a superstar, but he could be helpful. Oh, and guess what? Also a former Blackhawk. Bianco. Lot better stats in the AHL than he did in the NHL, because in 9 games he only had 1 goal, whereas in the AHL he had 42 games played with 37 points. So just goes to show that the AHL and NHL are definitely two different levels. I feel like I'm saying way too many times. But he could be, like I said, just a good bottom pairing defenseman, unless he can get over that hump and possibly put up the production that he made in the AHL and bring it to the NHL. So only time will tell for this kid. Just like anyone else, if they're just like in the Anaheim video I did yesterday, if a player gets traded away or he gets hurt, or in this case the contract for Marian Hossa got traded away from Chicago to Arizona in order to help with the cap issues, he's still getting paid basically to stay at home just like Kessler, and he's guaranteed for this year to be making $650,000. Wouldn't that be nice to get paid just over $500,000 to not play hockey? These guys are lucky. And the last thing I'm going to look at here, I can't believe I'm already at 20 minutes already. Time just flies. And they got Antti Ranta and Darcy Kempfer, who are kind of like 1A, 1B goalies. I wouldn't say one really stands out over the other one, but they're definitely a good 1-2 tandem to have. Obviously, they made the postseason in 2020. They knocked off Nashville in the play-in rounds, I do believe, in 4 games or 3 games, and then unfortunately they fell short against the Colorado Avalanche in 5 games. So they lost Hall. That's a huge loss. Obviously, he was a big superstar of the team, but I mean, they got a good young core with a mixture of some veterans and some good young kids. If I were to make a bold prediction about the Arizona Coyotes, I feel that if it wasn't for the bubble and the COVID thing last season, that they probably would have missed it again. But just like my team, the Habs, had no business being in there, but they were. I just feel like there's a lot of good teams out there, and I think it'll be hard for Arizona to keep up. And I'm not going to say they're not going to make it for X amount of years, but for the 2021 season, I'm just going to be bold and say I think they'll just fall short of the of entering the Stanley Cup playoffs. That is my bold prediction, and thank you again, as always, for watching. If you haven't already subscribed, feel free to do that. I want to try and be as more consistent with these videos. I know I've been kind of away, but thanks you all again, and as always, stay safe and take care.